Hey, James, do you ever get suspicious when you see odd pop-ups or ads on your Instagram feed?
On Instagram, I'm suspicious of all the ads.
Are you really?
Not all the actually, it's gotten a little better lately, but generally I'm very suspicious. I remember I keep getting this ad for Keens, which is an expensive, well, not expensive, but it's a shoe brand.
Okay.
That's a little bit expensive, and it's always like 50% off or 80% off. And you go to the website and it's not Keen. I don't know. They're selling probably knockoff Keens or something. And I was like, how is Instagram allowing themselves to be used to sell fraudulent merchandise like this? This is crazy.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff is like that. But lately, they've just been trying to sell me e-bikes because I bought an e-bike a couple weeks ago.
Right. Yeah. It just logs into your stream of consciousness for some reason. But I keep getting this pop-up for the art of Banksy that's coming to Phoenix. And so I was really intrigued. And when I first got this pop-up, it says the art of Banksy coming to Phoenix. And it's all black. It's just kind of this covert ops looking background. So I clicked on it. And it brought me up to this website, which was essentially the Art of Banksy exhibition or something like that. And it says, click on the city. And I clicked on Phoenix. And then it doesn't really tell you anything. And in order to access information about ticketing, et cetera, I would have had to give them my email and I think a phone number. And then they'd get back to me about the ticket purchase.
I don't understand that. Why do they need your email and your phone number?
I don't know. And so I didn't do it. So I started researching this Art of Banksy exhibit. And I did send you some articles about it last night. Right. And I just kind of wanted your thought process because I thought it felt a little odd. A little off, maybe. Yeah, made me uncomfortable. What are your thoughts on that?
At first, I thought, well, a Banksy show would be great.
Exactly. And the first place I looked after I clicked on and decided to not give them my information was I went to the Phoenix Art Museum site to see when the exhibit would be. It's like, because to me, it's like if Banksy's coming or Banksy's works are coming, that would be the logical venue in this town at least.
Yeah, I mean, if we had one really big sort of alternative main gallery space, I would expect maybe he would be there.
Right.
Or one of the main museums.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, and there was no reference to that. So that's when I started digging and involved your input. So anyway, tell me your thoughts after you looked at some of that stuff.
As I said, initially it seemed pretty cool, but the further you go down into it, now I didn't try to buy any tickets, so I didn't see that. But that is super weird that they wanted any of your information. I just want a ticket. Just buy a ticket, and then if they have to send it to you via email, then you can get your email after you've bought it.
Right. And there was no reference in terms of the pricing. There was no ticket prices go from this to this. These are the dates of the exhibit. It was kind of everything's in progress, It was almost like they were trying to be Banksy and just like do a pop-up show.
No. It's not that. This is so super common in slightly sketchy or even some mainstream websites use this. Okay. Where before they give you any information at all, they want your information first. They want to get you on their mailing list. And it just drives me crazy. Because it's really unpleasant. It's really sketchy. Mm-hmm. You got to stop doing that. It's what it is?
What is it?
It's sleazy.
Well, it felt sleazy. It felt off, and it made me uncomfortable. Go ahead.
I don't know if this is true, but the old story was if you have to be careful when you go to a car dealership because any car that pulls on the car dealership, the car dealership will run your plates and do a credit check on you without your permission, just to figure out if you can even afford to buy a car.
No way.
That was the story. Don't know if it's true, but it seems like the kind of thing that a sleazy car dealership. I mean, that's redundant, sleazy car dealership, but it seems like the kind of thing. So they're doing the same thing, and it's kind of sleazy. But you know what also is a little bit sleazy about this particular website? Now you're talking about the Art of Banksy, and there's a lot of different articles and a lot of different shows. Most of them trace back to this one company, and it's the artofbanksy.com, which is a shitty title if you're not actually Banksy.
Right.
But anyway, I just did a simple who is search on that domain name, and it is hosted by Nix Telecomunicación AS. I know I butchered that name because I don't speak Turkish, because guess where it's registered? The domain name is registered and hosted in Turkey. Why do you think it might be in Turkey, Catherine?
I have no words.
But why do you think they would do it in Turkey?
Tell me, I honestly...
Because it's not part of the European Union. They have close ties with Europe, but they're not part of the European Union, so I'm guessing it's beyond the legal reach of Banksy to do anything about.
Right. Well, Banksy's disavowed this on his own website.
Yeah. I mean, so on Banksy's site, he says he lists all these shows as fake.
Yes, he does.
But are they fake? What is in the actual show? Oh, and the other one, so there was, just to finish off, there was another one. It was Banksy's Exhibition, which again is a pretty shitty domain name to be using if you're not Banksy. The registrar there is Registrar of Domain Names, reg.ru LLC.
Oh.
Guess where that is?
I don't know. Turkey?
Russia.
Oh.
These places are not in exactly the most open economic systems.
Right. Well, there was a third website, was BanksyExhibit.com. Did you look at that one?
I said Banksy's exhibition.
Yes.
And this is you were right. It was actually Banksy Exhibition. That's the one that's in Russia.
Yeah, there's Banksy Exhibition, Banksy Exhibit, and theartofbanksy.com.
I think if you know anything about the art world, like we do, a little bit, we know a little bit.
We know
just enough.
Mm-hmm.
We know just enough to be a little suspicious of anything we see. If you pick up the corner of the carpet to see what's underneath it, and it's like, oh, the National Gallery of Art in, say, D.C., you know it's going to be legitimate. And if you start pulling that carpet up and there's like a tag from Russia and then in Turkey and other places that, again, there's no real ramifications legally that British citizen could have, then, it kind of stinks. You're going to find some skeletons and probably some rotten wood and some termites down there.
Right.
This stank up pretty quickly once you start looking into it. And so what do you see if you go to the show, Catherine?
Well, what do you see? I mean, that's a good question because depending on which website you click into, they bring up different types of shows. Like there was one show that looks like it started in like 2016, 2017, and it was international. And that was referenced under The Art of Banksy. That was like the kind of original when I was looking through. And they said there were greater than 150 works. Well, that same show was opened in Seoul, and they sold greater than 25,000 tickets. And pretty quickly after the show opened, people were like, these aren't even originals. There's a lot of prints.
Oh, they're all prints. Oh, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
I just asked that question so you would say.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I just went off on a tangent. Almost all of the works are prints.
Oh, and some of them were reproduced with, quote, stencil technique.
Yes.
So there's someone has ripped off his stencil, made a copy stencil, and then spray painted it.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like, that's not exactly genuine artwork.
No, it's just so cheesy.
It's pretty awful. And then there's another quote that I picked out of one of the articles that you sent me.
Right.
So Starbucks said this. Starbucks didn't take to the streets of Bristol with chisels in hand to secure their art, instead paying private collectors to secure approximately 80 Banksy prints and works on loan that have been valued at $35 million. Hang on a second. Here's the money part of the quote. According to the company.
According to the company. I saw that quote.
It's like, couldn't you verify that? If you publish an article about this, you could actually call up the collectors who are, in theory, donating this and do some verification of it, right? That doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to do.
Right.
Instead of just taking this schmuck's word for it. Bad reporting.
No, it rubbed me the wrong way, yeah. But I guess it brought up a couple questions to me. First of all, I was not annoyed. I was just... and not alarmed. That would be hyperbolic in terms of my response to this. But I was just cautious in terms of giving any of my information so I can get information back. I didn't want to be on a mailing list. I didn't want my information's out there anyway. Everyone says. You
can bet dollars to donuts that if you had put your email in there, you'd be getting even more spam today.
Yeah, I didn't. So
they're definitely going to be selling your email address. Definitely. There's no question about this kind of place that, again, if they're legitimate, they're not going to have to register their domain names in Turkey. Okay, that's just not something you do if you want to be on up and up. Unless you actually do all your work in Turkey, then that makes sense. But if you're not doing any of your work in Turkey and all your work is international, it's a good place to register it, unless you want to be even more sketchy and do it in Russia.
I was just looking at it from the sharing of art perspective. I was trying to find some silver lining in this. If there was, it's like, is there any legitimacy to this? And when Banksy clearly has disavowed this, I have to side with the artist. But then I started thinking about what you said several weeks ago in terms of like, if you sold a piece of work, you wouldn't care what happened to it as long as you got paid for it.
Right.
And so I started thinking about this, but this isn't really a piece of work, is it?
He's not selling most of these
and he
works.
Didn't sell it.
Most of the stuff is graffiti, and it's not the work. It's just pictures of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And you know where you can go to see pictures of Banksy's work?
On Banksy's website.
Banksy's website and also Banksy's Instagram account.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and this
you're
is
right.
He's not shy. He's really very generous because if you look at his images on his website, I wouldn't say they're full resolution, but they're pretty big resolution. I mean, I just randomly grabbed one of the pictures off of his website, which he doesn't. There are some things you can make it harder to steal images, quote steal, to download images from the website. He doesn't employ any nefarious techniques. You just right-click on it and you can download it. Dimensions of the one that I just randomly grabbed was 2400 pixels by 1600 pixels, which is pretty damn high resolution. You could print that out at a reasonable size and get a good quality print from it.
Wow.
So he's being very generous as it is. If you want to go see his works, you can just go to his website. And my favorite thing is he says on his website, "You are welcome to use Banksy's images for non-commercial personal amusement. Print them out in a color that matches your curtains. Make a card for your gran. Submit them as your own homework. Whatever."
I love that.
He's not trying to hide his work. He's sharing his work.
He is sharing his work.
So it's not like these shows are really exposing the Banksy that he's trying to hide from everyone.
I didn't get the sense of that they were trying to unfurl his work or uncover his work for the masses. It was just like one of the arguments that was made in a YouTube video that I sent you was that they were public works to begin with, and the public has a right to see the work.
The public doesn't have a right to anything.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're very welcome.
Says the libertarian.
Who's the libertarian?
I'm a libertarian.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really libertarian. I'm just as much a libertarian as I'm a communist. So
right, and I'm just as much a podcaster.
Go figure that out.
Right. Okay.
You're just as much of a podcaster as what?
Is a libertarian? I don't know.
Catherine, I really do hope that you're more of a podcaster than a libertarian.
I was looking for an argument to be like, this isn't alarming. This doesn't make me want to cringe. This isn't wrong in some way. And I hate to use the term wrong. Let's just X that out. But it just felt
no. That's fair.
It felt
it's fair
fuzzy.
game.
It felt fuzzy to me, like it wasn't really as legit as it could have been.
Well,
so
I think the word that sums all this up is sleazy. It's not necessarily legal, but it's definitely sleazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's illegal at all.
They're representing it like they're showing Banksy's work. They're showing pictures of Banksy's work. Maybe they have a couple of original prints, but that's not even clear because there's no follow-up on that. I don't really believe that they have $30 million worth of art. Of course, in the art world, you can value it at whatever you want it to be. So they might be. This guy's showing a lot of his own pictures that he took while he was working with Banksy. So he can value that at basically whatever he wants to value them at because it's art.
How about in that YouTube video where they had that piece that looked like a big stained glass piece? Was that an original?
That's what they said. I don't have any reason to doubt it. Doubt it, and I'm, it's probably buried in his website somewhere. You can go down and look at it.
I thought that was really an interesting piece.
Yeah, I didn't see it much enough of it because it was in the YouTube video, so it flashed by pretty quick.
Right, it flashed by. I wanted to do some. I didn't. My bad. I didn't dig deeper on that.
Oh, you read a bunch of articles and stuff.
I did enough. I did enough because I guess what I was responding to was this random pop up on my Instagram. I go into it and then it's like this kind of dark hole that feels weird and it's like more crumb, like more icky stuff from the art world. It's like
it triggered your spider sense and spidey sense, and I think it legitimately did, and this is a PSA from Catherine. Do not go to the Banksy show. Any Banksy show.
I didn't say that. I think if someone wants to go to the show, they're welcome to go to the show. I would have gone to the show.
Why spend $50 when you can just go to his website and see better versions of his work?
Okay, the one reason, if they were originals, like if I could stand in front of an original Banksy, but like often I think to myself, why does anyone like Diego Rivera's work? And if I think of it in terms of like just Diego Rivera, because everyone defaults to Frida Kahlo, and I'm very moved by her work. But when I go to the Phoenix Art Museum, they have quite a nice little collection of Diego Rivera's. And I stand in front of the painting. I could still feel his energy coming off the brushstrokes. I don't know if it's my imagination. And then I get it if I'm standing in front of the piece, like why people like his stuff. And it's like it just resonates at a different level, like a vibratory level. I was hoping to do that in front of the Banksy. I would have gone to the exhibit if they weren't copies or prints or reprints or whatever. That's why I right, and I didn't know. And I think it was disappointing. And it's also disappointing because I find Banksy's work so, it's like quasi-magical, it's whimsical. It speaks to different issues and ideas. And he's so clear in this very almost simple, but it's not simple what he does. I mean, it's
very nuanced.
Well, it's very nuanced, and
he boils down an issue to a very simple image.
Yes.
Which has is able to capture a tremendous amount of nuance, but also just punch you in the face.
Exactly. And I wanted to see that in the flesh. I wanted to see that in front of me. I wanted to feel that.
This is graffiti, so unless you're actually in front of the wall in which it's painted.
Right. I know.
And it's remarkable that so much of it comes through in just a simple Instagram post.
It is.
So my suggestion, Catherine, if you're not already following Banksy on Instagram, you should follow Banksy on Instagram.
I don't think I am, and that's an interesting point. I follow everybody else on Instagram.
How are you even on this podcast?
You called me one day. I'm bored. Let's do something.
That's exactly why. Yeah. Well, you and Melinda.
Me and Melinda.
Melinda had the good sense to say no.
Yeah, she did. God love her. But anyway, so I was disappointed. I was disappointed for me because I'm a selfish creep. I was disappointed because I wanted a different experience. I would have gone to an exhibit if it seemed like a real thing. I was kind of wondering how the hell they would transport walls and doors and the different things he's done. So that was right off the bat. I knew it couldn't probably be real.
Okay, well that's always a big neon sign, a warning sign. If they have a cutout wall, they've stolen somebody's wall.
Exactly.
Please don't steal my wall, okay?
Please don't steal my wall. And, but I wanted to stand in front of it. So I was disappointed for the viewers. I was disappointed that someone would take his work. And I was disappointed for Banksy because, I agree with what you said. He seems very generous with how he's approaching his art and the sharing of his art. And it's already out there.
I mean, this guy says...
Go ahead.
Yeah, he says, oh, well, I'm just doing... Everybody has the right to see it. Well, okay, if you want to see it, just go to Banksy. He's not hiding it. He will show it to you. He will let you print it out. He will let you turn it in as your own homework. How much more generous can you be than that?
You could print it out in any colors. I love that.
But, the thing you can't do with Banksy, I mean, I think he's printed some... T-shirts once in a while, and they're usually very ironic. But the thing you generally can't do, he's not mercenary about his work. He doesn't put it on a bunch of mugs.
Right.
And you know what you can do with these shows? Visitors to the Art of Banksy can purchase shirts, mugs, and tote bags galore. Mm-hmm. Doesn't that just say it all?
Yes, it does. So, well, you had an interesting point, though, about, when artists don't give their consent, if they are, no longer with us, i.e. dead.
Or they've gone to Mars. I don't know.
They've gone to Mars,
No, I was thinking. I started with a premise of how does this compare to other shows? And I was thinking of the Vermeer show because that blew up so big like 5 or 6 years ago. Vermeer didn't give his permission to have his works shown.
Right, because he's dead.
On the other hand, one of the biggest shows in the past 10 years was at the National Gallery of Art, and if I remember correctly, they didn't actually charge anything for that. So the better the show, the less you pay.
Oh, wow.
I was trying to give this thing a fair shake.
I was too.
I wanted to go in with comparing against something else, and it doesn't compare well against anything, even itself.
Right. It didn't. And it was just, I don't like giving. I think we're done. Boom, done. Should I turn it off?